වාණිජ, විද්‍යා, ගණිත, කලා, තාක්ෂණ වේදය, විෂය ධාරාවන් වල සියලුම විෂයන් සඳහා විශ්වවිද්‍යාල කතිකාචාර්යවරුන් සහ රජයේ පාසල්වල ප්‍රවීණ ආචාර්ය මණ්ඩලය විසින් මෙහෙයවනු ලබන දේශන නැනපවුර YouTube channel ඔස්සේ නැරඹිය හැක. ඉදිරි දේශන දැනගැනීම සඳහා නැනපවුර YouTube channel subscribe කරන්න. දැයි දූ දරුවන්ගේ අනාගත ජයග්‍රහණයට.
Hello everyone, now we are going to start today's English literature lecture for all the students. Madam Maya Soisa joins with us today. Tell the friends who could not attend today can watch today's lecture on our Nanapuri YouTube channel. So I invite our madam who is joining with us today. Hello madam. Hello madam.
මිස් කියන්නේ එකපාරටම මාව ලොග් අවුට් වුණා. දැන් හරි මිස්.
Hi madam.
පටන් ගන්නද?
Okay madam.
Okay. Good evening students. Okay, now we are going to start today our literature session. Today, we are going to talk about poetry section. Okay, now let's see what is literature. I am giving you only a small introduction. Literature is a collection of fiction and non-fiction writings. That means there are fictions and there are some non-fictions also. Okay, let's go to this is my first slide. Now we will go to the content. Introduction to literature we discussed just now. Then poetry. Then there are some poetry that we are going to discuss today. Okay, let's see next. What is poetry? Poetry discusses the use of the various aspects of using few words. That means we can use few words to express use through few words. That means there are only limited words to convey limited words we can use to convey a message to the society. Then let's see what are the poetry we are going to discuss today. Earthen Goblet by Hendranath Chattopadhyaya. Now we are talking about the life today. Then this is the one of the poetry that we are going to discuss today. Then we can see Father and Son by Cat Stevens. Then we are going to discuss Fear by Gabriel Mistral. At last, we are going to talk about Clown's Wife by Johnson Agar. Okay, let's go to the first poem that we are going to talk about. It is The Earthen Goblet by Harindranath Chattopadhyaya. I think all of you have heard about this poet. And let's see what is the poem here. Better to if we uh, go through the poetry as well, unless that is not uh, practical thing. Go through the words and let's see. Okay. Here you can see the poetry in the slides also. Sometimes you may don't have the poetry with you. At the moment, you see the poetry in the slides also. Okay, let's see. We are talking about life. The first poetry is The Earthen Goblet. Oh, sigh goblet red from head to heel. How did you feel when you were being tried upon the potter's wheel before the potter gave you the word? I felt a conscious impulse in my clay to break away from the great potter's hand that burned so warm. I felt vast feeling of sorrow to be cast into my present form. Before that fatal hour that saw me captive on the potter's wheel and cast into this crimson goblet sleep, I used to feel the fragrant friendship of a little flower, whose root was in my bosom buried deep. The potter has drawn out the living breath of me and given me a form which is the death of me. My past, unshapely, natural state was best, with just one flower flaming through my breast, by Harindranath Chattopadhyaya. See the words here, see the experience here, see what are the rhyming couplet here. You can see what kind of rhyming couplets here. A, B, A, B, then A, B, then A, B, then C, C, D is there, then D, C again, then A, B, C, B, C, A, B, B. There are rhyming couplet like that. Okay, then let's go to further clarification about this poetry. Here, the technique, when we talk about the technique of the poem, The Earthen Goblet by Harindranath Chattopadhyaya is written to highlight the value of living a natural and unsophisticated life while enjoying the simplicity of life. That means he tries to understand, tries to make understand the simplicity of life here. Then we can understand the poem is written into conversational form. Yes, you can see, oh, silent goblet. Then that is the beginning of the poetry. Then how did you feel? Then there are some examples for conversational language. Then I felt a vast feeling of sorrow to be cast. Before that fatal hour, then I used to feel the potter has drawn out the living breath of me. These are some of the examples. Here, the poem, the Eden Goblet, they are some of the examples. The poem, The Eden Goblet by Raj Chattopadhyay is written to highlight the value of living a natural and unsophisticated life while enjoying the simplicity of life. The question form of the goblet and the goblet answers him is there. Then here we can see goblet is A, others are B, C, like that. However, when we talk about for these who study for this is this poetry has recommended to study to educational purpose because it is very useful to our day-to-day lives as well, because it is supportive to conversational between ourselves and our friend selves. That means what? It is talked about it is recommended to study his educational background and social influence as well as his research interest. The poem connotes a secondary meaning where Chattopadhyay attempts to validate Christian and Sufi doctrines where God is regarded as a potter and man as clay which is cast by his hands. But now, O Lord, you are our Father. We are the clay, and you are the potter. We are all the work of your hand. That means the Lord is the most powerful person, and the other part, that means ourselves, we are the powerless people. Oh, house of Israel, declares the Lord, can I not fret you as this potter frets his clay? Just like clay in the potter's hand, so you are in my hand, oh house of Israel. Here, Jeremiah 18:6. When we talk about this poet is Hanindranath Chattopadhyay. He was born on 2nd of April in 1898 in the Deccan in India. Then we can understand through the name of this writer, he is an Indian person. Hanindranath Chattopadhyay began to write verse as a child and also enjoyed acting due to the constant encouragement he had from his family. After his marriage to Kamala Devi, a Madras widow in 1919, Chattopadhyaya moves to England. Then he moves to England with his marriage and later enters the Fitzwilliam Hall of the University of Cambridge to research on what? William Blake and the Sophies. Then Hanindranath Chattopadhyaya belongs to the Navya movement of Indian poetry, which is the equivalent of modernism in European literature. Now, this person also belongs to that category. When we talk about structure of the poetry, the overall poem can be regarded as a free verse. Actually, we can see it is spreading everywhere, free verse, due to the lack of uniformity in its structure. However, Hanindranath Chattopadhyaya uses the structure of the poem to add emphasis to the concept of nature versus nurture he attempts to elaborate in the poem. The first three stanzas are irregular in their rhyming schemes, whereas the last is not. The shift from a heterometric stanza with regular rhymes to an isometric stanza with a regular enforcement of artificiality. Artificiality means we can see that is not natural. The syllabic beats in the first three stanzas are regular and then becomes regular in the final stanzas where each line contains 11 syllables. The shift of the rhythm of the poem indicates the slash between nature and man, as well as the concept of nature versus nurture. Then we will turn to the topic, the Eden goblet. Eden means made of baked of fired clay. A goblet is a drinking glass with a foot and a stem similar in shape to a chalice. The natural ingredient and the artificiality associated with the goblet figuratively indicates the clash between industrial consumerist necessities of man and nature. The goblet is an extended metaphor in the poem which stands for the concept of transformation. We will go to stanza 1. Oh, silent goblet, red from the head to heel. Here, oh is an interjection used to express the sudden, strong emotion of the narrator when he first sees the goblet. Later in the stanza, the narrator prioritizes the physical pain underwent by the goblet in the process of building up its current form. Therefore, the reader can understand that the exclamatory expression of the narrator indicates his concern towards the painful transformation process. The silence of the goblet figuratively indicates its dissatisfaction. It does not want to communicate with the rest of the world, as it assumes that it is ravaged against its will. Its will. The redness of the goblet can be seen as a visual representation of the pain it had to undergo during its transformation. Head to heel. Here we can see head to heel. Refers to here head to heel refers to the entire structure of the goblet. It functions in the poem as a personification, as the narrator assumes the goblet to be alive. Stanza 1. How did you feel when you were being twirled upon the potter's wheel? Before the potter gave you to the world, the set of 4 lines function in the stanza as a single sentence that summarizes the primary question of the poem, the feelings of the goblet towards its change. The extended length of the line further functions as an elaborated indication of the extended duration of suffering the goblet had to undergo. The narrator directly addresses the goblet. When a personified object is directly addressed, we call it an apostrophe. We call it as an apostrophe. Yes. The grammatical tense and the voice of the sentence switch from past tense active to past progressive, passive. Past progressive as well as passive. Then back to the past tense. Then we can see active again. The past progressive tense in the phrase were being trialed shifts the focus from the action itself to the duration of the action. It figuratively indicates the extended duration of time the goblet had to undergo excruciating physical pain. When, were, twirled are alliterations that add emphasis to the suffering of the goblet. Were being twirled is a praise in the passive voice. With the change of voice, the narrator avoids indicating the one who is directly responsible for the suffering caused. The narrator suggests that the lump of clay is twirled on the potter's wheel, yet avoids mentioning that it is the potter who is responsible for the applied paint. In the final line, the grammatical voice immediately changes to active and the subject potter is mentioned when a seemingly positive action is performed by him. The tone of the narrator suggests that he confirms to the perspective of the potter and assumes that giving the goblet to the world is a positive action. Then it seems that the transformation of the goblet from its natural state rather benefits the natural to artificial, uncivilized to civilized, nature to nurture, rather serves for a collective purpose than providing a personal benefit to an individual. To understand the concept of the poet, think about the purpose behind a child attending school, which is a similar process of transformation to that of the goblet. The parallelly to the social advancement of the child who transforms from his rawness to a law-abiding citizen, the world is benefited from having a conformist who will not strive to see a change. Both you and Potter are repeated as they are the primary characters in the poem. The stanzas which started with an interjection ends with an interjection. Stanzas 1 oral analysis. Even though there are n rhymes in the stanzas and the rhyming schemes is A, A, B, they are disarranged and lack any sort of consistent sequence. The dominant grammatical tense is past and it varies from simple to progressive and from active to passive in order to connote layers of figurative senses. The overall tone of the stanza is conversational as the narrator expects to start a conversation with the personified goblet. Harsh, consonant sounds dominate the overall tone of the poem, indicating that it revolves around a crisis. I felt a conscious impulse in my clay. The poet uses an amoebian as the voice of the previous narrator shifts to the voice of the goblet with changing of this stanza. The goblet starts to speak and it speaks of its feelings, turning it into a personified object. The consciousness of the goblet suggests that it actually comes to life, similar to an animated character in a cartoon. The conscious humanoid behavior of the goblet can be regarded as an anthropomorphism. It is called as anthropomorphism. It is a new, I think you may have an idea, then it is called, we will discuss it again. The conscious humanoid behavior of the goblet can be regarded as an anthropomorphism. Then when we talk about impulse, impulse is an unreflective urge to act. It contributes to generate sympathy towards the goblet. My is a passive pronoun that indicates the possessive nature of the goblet. It further indicates that what belongs to the speaker has been forcibly transformed by the potter. Clay is a natural ingredient and functions as a metaphor. Here, clay used as the metaphor for the rawness of nature and an individual which is meant to be transformed by a potter. Then we will talk about the stanza 2, line 2, to break away. The goblet's needs to break away indicates that it is captured against its will. The isolation of the praise to break away adds emphasis to the non-acceptances of the goblet towards the change it is about experience. From the great potter's hand. The adjective great attributes reverence to the potter, the respect of the goblet towards the potter who causes him harm is a controversial characteristic. Pottery in the modern society is not an idealized profession. However, to the goblet, the potter is his creator. Therefore, the reader can justify the idealization done by the goblet. Literally, the goblet wants to break away from the hand of the potter as the shape of the goblet is crafted by the hand. Yet it is obvious that both hands are used for crafting pots. Yet the speaker singularizes the body part in order to attribute a metaphorical sense, and therefore functions in the poem as a synecdoche as well as an allusion that figuratively conveys both power and the concept of creation. That burns so warm. The conjunction that indicates that the speaker continues to describe the characteristics of the hand, even though heat is not generated from the hand. The goblet assumes otherwise. By the biblical allusion to the concept of creation is thus extended. The intensifying adjective so adds emphasis to the excruciating physical pain underwent by the goblet. I felt a vast. Here you can see I felt a vast. Felt is a repetition and it indicates the disparate necessity of the goblet to express his emotional agony to the outside world. The enjambment in the line extends to the end of the stanza, adding emphasis to the necessity of the goblet to rapidly express his reproach. Feeling of sorrow to be cast. Feelings are continued to be expressed by the goblet. It literally emphasizes the fact that nature too can feel regardless of the general prejudice of man who assumes it is not alive. The physical agony expressed in the first half of the stanza immediately shifts to an emotional agony. Caste is a complex term that has multiple figurative senses, but we will stick to the literal meaning to mold by casting. When we talk about stanza 2, line 7, into many into my present form, the utter emotional dissatisfaction of the goblet due to its world choice indicates that it considers its present form to be a discrimination. It is just like a discrimination. The word present exhibits the contrast between the past and present of the goblet on the one hand and nostalgia associated with the goblet on the other hand. Before that fatal hour, Here we are talking about stanza 3, line 1 to 3. Before that fatal hour that saw me captive on the potter's wheel and cast into his crimson goblet sleep. The entire stanza is a single complex sentence, and this is the subordinate clause that has been inverted to the beginning. The inversion of the sentence adds emphasis to the main clause which appears late. The enjambment extends from the beginning to the end of the subordinate clause. The seemingly lengthy line which lacks punctuations simulates the extended duration of physically suffering experienced by the goblet. Here you can see how emotional about this poetry. Then we will talk about the praises. Here, the praises fatal hour. The praise, you can see the fatal hour is personified as it. So the goblet captive on the potter's wheel. The word then we can see the word captive reveals that the goblet is captured against its will. It figuratively indicates the clash between man and the natural world. That is the main issue here. Because there are some competitions. That is the situation of the world. Okay, we will go to stanza 3, line 4 to 6. I used to feel the fragrant friendship of a little flower whose root was in my bosom, buried deep. And here you can see අපි සිලෙක්ට් වෙලා නෑනේ. Sorry, it was a mistake. The potter has drawn out the living beneath of me. The potter has been directly accused in the concluding stanza, unlike in the rest of the poem. Even though the goblet claims that his life has been drained away, he still seems to be alive. Thus, the reader can understand living beneath refers to the original state of the goblet, where it had a direct connection to a to our then what kind of idea you may have about this poem? Uh, okay, then we will go to our next poem because we have some time limitations. Also, then we will talk about father and son. It is written by Cat Stevens. Let's see the poetry. Father and Son by Cat Stevens. Father and son. Father, still it's not time to make a change. Just relax. Take it easy. You're still young. That's your fault. There's so much you have to know. Find a girl. Settle down. If you want, you can marry. Look at me. I am old, but I am happy. I was once like you are now. And I know that it's not easy to be calm when you have found something going on. But take your time, think a lot. Why? Think of everything you've got. For you will still be there here tomorrow, but your dreams may not. Son, how can I try to explain? 'Cause when I do, he turns away again. It's always been the same old story. From the moment I could talk, I was ordered to listen. Now there's a way and I know that I have to go away. I know I have to go. Father, it's not time to make a change. Just sit down, take it slowly. You are still young. That's your fault. There's so much you have to go through. Find a girl, settle down. If you want, you can marry. Look at me. I am old, but I am happy. All the times that I have cried, live inside its heart. They were right. I'd agree. Not me. Now then, I have to go away. I know I have to go. By Cat Steven. What kind of ideas you may have on this poem and the poetry? Then we will discuss what kind of idea you may have. The song is this is a poetry, a conversation between a father and son. Here, father and son, they are belong to two generations. Father has passed his childhood. Now he's an adult. The son is starting his life. Then generation gap is significant here. That means generation gaps and experience gaps and mood of thought are really appreciative here. That means father symbolized the adult generation and son emphasized the younger generation. Then what kind of idea you may have here? Then you have to understand what is the significant. It is most important. You may think, what is going on? Here you can see there's so much you have to go through. Here, the voice of father. Now he said, find a girl. Then he has to start his life, find a girl. That is the first stage. Then settle down. And he has to settle down with that person, with that girl. If you want, you can marry. If you want, that means if he want, he can marry that person. Look at me. I am old, but I am happy. Father says, look at myself, son. Even I am old, I am so happy because he has married and your father has married and he has a son as well. And here, son says, all the times that I have cried, in each and every time he has cried, keeping all the things I knew inside. He was thinking about his insights. If they were right, I'd agree. Because he happened to agree. But it is them they know. But me, now there's a way, and I know that I have to go away. I know I have to go, Cat Stevenson. That means this boy says he has to go. That is the reality. Yeah, that is the reality in each and every person happens to go away. Generation to generation, and we have to cast the battle. That is the idea. Here you can see the first lines of the poem. Here, father counseling his son to stay home, settle down and find a girl, telling him this is the path to happiness after all. It worked for him. The son thought feels compelled to leave and is frustrated because his dad makes no effort to understand why or even hear him out. Stevens made up the story, but his relationship with his own father Steve's Georges was an influence on the song. His dad owned a restaurant in London and Cat worked there as a waiter right up until he signed the record deal at age 17. Stevens was hoping his son would join the family business. When he appeared on the Chris that hour in 2009, Stevens said he was running a restaurant and I was a pop star, so I wasn't following the path that he had laid out. But we certainly didn't have any antagonism between us. I loved him and he loved me. Stevens veered away from his urban uh, upbringing again in 1977 when he rejected Christianity and became a Muslim, changing his name to Yusufi Islam. The generational divide that plays out in the link can apply to many families that Stevens had a specific storyline in mind, writing it from the perspective of a father and son in a Russia family during the Russia Revolution. The son wants to join the revolution, but his father wants him to stay home and work on the farm. Stevens, a huge fan of short tunes, wrote it in 1969 for a musical he was working on called Revolution, which was set during the Russia Revolution. The song was a scene where the son feels it is calling to join in but his father wants him to stay home. The musical never materialized, and so the song ended up being the first one written for Stevens' key for the Telemann album. Here, the song has a very unusual structure which owes to its provisions as a number of for a stage musical. There's no chorus, but the son's part is sung louder, providing a kind of hope. The dialogue is an interesting lyrical trick with the father and son expressing different perspectives on the situation. In 2020, Yusuf Islam told Entertainment Weekly the song is a testament to the differences we respect to each other, especially in age and traditions. Traditions have a big impact on our lives, and sometimes you got to walk away. The song has a very unusual structure which owes to its provenance as a number for a stage musical. There's no chorus, but the son's part is sung louder, providing a kind of hook. The dialogue is an interesting lyrical trick with the father and son expressing different perspectives on the situation. In 22, Yusuf Island told Entertainment Weekly the song is a testament to the differences we represent to each other, especially in age and traditions. Traditions have a big impact on our lives, and sometimes you got to walk away. This is the song that got Stevens signed to Island Records. His first two albums were issued on Durham division of Decca. Stevens met with Island boss Chris Blackwell to talk about the musical. He wrote this song for Built when Blackwell heard the song. He set his sights on getting Stevens on his label as an artist. Stevens' first island release was Mona Jackson earlier 1970. It was not just a new label for Stevens, but a new producer as well, with former other people, Samuel Smith, taking the helm from Mike Hurst, who had the Stevens get his deal with Decca. The Irish boy and boys on record, the father and son in 1995, their version was a huge hit across Europe, going to one in Ireland and two in the UK. Steves, who by this time had embraced the Islamic path, has Yusuf Island for 18 years, was thrilled with the cover. I was in a Turkish restaurant one day and it came on the radio. He told Mojo recalling the first time he heard it. One of my children said, "Dad, isn't that the your song?" I said, "Why, yes, it is. It turned out the boy's song. It is a nice version and I am grateful it was a clean cut book who did it. I went to meet them at top of the box and we had a nice time. They are a good bunch of lads." This is the song that Stevenson signed Iron Records. Here you may understand what is the generation gap also here. There are two situations as we talked earlier. There are some generation gaps. We can understand father's situation and the son's situation. They are two different from each other. Then when we talk about the structure here, it is in conversational structure. You can see very small, simple language here. There are two characters because father is there, son is there, but actually it gives us the idea of our day-to-day lives, as well as the social issues. Father is he delegates the old generation. The son delegates small younger generation, younger blood, and younger blood is there in the poem. That means it talks about how younger people act here. Then that is one aspect. Here there's a father wants to keep his son with him. He wants to. He thinks he has to that his son should be with him. Son should be the son should protect by himself. That means by the father, but son wants to serve to the world and he wants to have an idea to social works. He is rather revolutionary character here. Those are the emotions of father and son. We can see there are some generation gaps and ideology are there. Two different ideology here. Then we will talk as the time is running up. We have to go to the next poetry. We can see Fear by Gabriel Mistral. Then we will read the poem. We will go through the poem here. Fear. I don't want them to turn my little girl into a swallow, or she would nest in the Okay, let's see. I don't want them to Fear by Gabriel Mistral. I don't want them to turn my little girl into a swallow. She would fly far away into the sky and never fly again to my straw bed. Oh, she would nest in the eaves, where I could not comb her hair. I don't want them to turn my little girl into a swallow. I don't want them to make my little girl a princess. In tiny golden slippers, how could she play on the meadow? And when night came no longer, would she sleep at my side? I don't want them to make my little girl a princess. And even less do I want them one day to make her queen. They would put her on a throne where I could not go to see her. And when night time came, I could never rock her. I don't want them to make my little girl a queen. See, the fear of a person. Who would be the person here? I don't want them to turn my little girl into a swallow. She would fly far away into the sky and never fly again to my straw bed. So she would nest in the eaves, where I could not comb her hair. This is a translation, Doris Dana, by Doris Dana. This is the ambition and fear is there. This girl wants to make that this should be an adult. Many times this should be the father of this girl. He may have an idea about the future of his daughter, but but he's afraid of his daughter's future. That's why he uses, I don't know. I don't want them to turn my girl into a swallow, or she would nest. She would be she would have to stay somewhere until she comes the time. He wants to make his daughter as a queen when the time comes, she keeps that is his ambition. He wants to make his daughter as a as a princess, but he is afraid whether it will be happen or not. He wants to protect his daughter. Each and every father has that kind of ideas because they think it's better if his daughter should have a better life in her future. When you talk about the message is very clear, language is very simple and polite. When you talk about the language, actually it is a fear. Each and every father has this kind of fear. I don't, that's why I could never rock her. The language is there. I don't want them to make my little girl a queen. Not to, he wants to, his father wants to make his daughter as a queen, not as the others. Not without any influence of the people. The clown's wife. Then we will go to the next poetry. The Clown's Wife by Johnson Agard. Let's see this one as well. About my husband, the clown. What could I say? On stage, he's a different person. Up there, he's a king on a throne. But at home, you should hear him mourn. The moment he walks through the door without that red nose and them funny clothes, he seems to have the world on his shoulder. The Clown's Wife, about my husband, the clown. What could I say on stage? He's a different person. Up there, he's a king on a throne. This is actually we can see the sound of the wife of clowns. Then the moment he walks through the door without red nose and them funny clothes, he seems to have the world on his shoulder. I do my best to cheer him up, poor soul. I juggle with eggs. I turn cartwheels. I tell jokes. I do me latest card trick. I even have a borrow of his red nose. But he doesn't stay exactly how he feels. Doesn't say what's bothering him inside. Just sits there saying almost to himself, oh life, life, what would I do without his clown of a wife? See, here the clown, here we can see the emotions of the wife of a clown. Actually, he's a husband to his wife. He's the person who bear all the responsibilities of his family. But when he goes on the stage, he's a different person. Up there, he's a king on a throne. But at home, you should hear him mourn. The moment he walks through that door, without that red nose and them funny clothes, he seems to have the world on his shoulder. That is the third stanza we can see. Uh, Even he act as the clowns, but his real life is not a clown. It is so different because he has to uh, have his all the responsibilities to his wife and his life and to his family as well. Then here I is there. Here the speaker, clown's wife. She says, I do me best to cheer him up, poor soul. I juggle with eggs. I turn cartwheels. I tell jokes. I do me latest card trick. I even have a burrow of his straight nose. See how she appreciate her husband. I do no she does what she can do in every aspect, but they have lot of uh, dedication to each other. But he doesn't say exactly how he feels, doesn't say what's bothering him inside. He doesn't say what are the things, what are the things that he has to do. Just sits there saying almost to himself. He, he sits there saying almost to himself. He never says what he has, what are his issues. Oh, life, life. What would I do without this clown of a wife? Here, this wife says, what should I do without this husband? That means without her husband called as clown. Even they have a lot of problems. They are sharing their lives, but they want to enjoy their lives. That's why. Here, see the language, very simple language. There are some rhymings as well. Clown, mound, then so hills, fields are there. Just like that kind of some rhymings are there, and you can see very simple language, and sharing their lives is very emotional, and they are really understanding each others. That's why they can share their lives. Even they have a lot of issues, uh, but they are sharing their lives. Here on here the clown, uh, clown, the clown happens to act as clowns for uh, their for no, for protecting their lives, and that is the part to keep their future. Nothing to do. That's why they are acting as clouds and doing this. Okay. Here we can see 4 aspects of our lives. Each and every poem, we can see the simple language. Simple language, 4 different messages are there. Life is so different from each other. It is not the same manner. When we talk about the earthen goblet by Harindra Chattopadhyaya, it is rather different. It talks about the life in one aspect. We talked about more. Then when we talk about father and son, it is we can see some generations gap. When we talk about fear, Gabriel Mistral, and Mistral talks about make his daughter's future. Then when we talk about the clown's wife, it is in another aspect. There are so many aspects, but here we can see how life is so different from each other. Each and every person search for their lives. That is the main theme. Here we can see there are some simple language, but the experience are too different. But we have to drag our lives with issues. That is the reality of on the earth. I think as we are staying at we are going to have we are reaching to the midnight as well. Then it's better if we have to have some discussions. If you want, actually you can put some messages to the chat box. Then I can discuss with you. I think this is a time for that. I am not muted. Yes, muted means then you can put some message here, because there are some issues. That's why Nana Power Foundation has done that. It's better to understand life is so different. I think that's why these people have written many aspects. You can understand there are four poetry here. Then you can see 4 issues here. Life is completely different from each other. Then the experience also are completely different from each other's. Then when you write the answers, you have to take these 4 questions. These 4 poetry, and you have to analyze the poetry, and you can write different aspects of the poetry on life. And you have to take down that and please write. Please try to understand. It is completely different section. It's better take down, get the idea first. Please read the poetry again and again. Then you may have got new ideas. Then you can highlight them, and please memorize those quotes. Those would be very, very important for your future. If you write some thing to in your writing books or in your papers, you have to understand. You have to have a clear idea to answer those questions, and then you won't be able to face any trouble. If we write something in literature, we have to prove it with quotations. That is compulsory fact. Okay, I think there's no any other comments. As the time is going up, I think it's better to wind up our sessions. If you have any suggestions or some things to share with me, please use the chat box to type it. Here you can see how females thoughts, how males thought. Then using this poetry, how man is thought, then how woman is thought, how younger person is thought, how younger person thinks, how older person thinks. You have to understand it. That is most important fact. Keep the idea of this poetry, then you will have to have a better ideas for writing the answers. Because when we should understand what is literature and what are the quotations, what are the idea of this. When you write the answer, please take down, please keep in your mind with the author. It is very important fact when you are answering the question. Being all students, you will have a good idea on this. I don't know. I think as this is the midnight, you may have a lot of issues. Tomorrow also you have to go to schools. Okay, I think it's better to wind up our session as there aren't any more suggestions or chatterings. If you have any suggestions, please tell me. I'm ready for discussing those matters with you. Okay, I think it seems to be nothing to discuss. Okay, we will wind up our sessions. Session from by now. Have a nice day. Good night. නැනපවරායතනයට අවස්ථාව ලබා දෙන්න.
බොහොමත්ම ස්තුතියි මැඩම්. අදත් අපිත් එක්ක සම්බන්ධ වුණාට මේ වෙලාවේ කියන්න ඕනේ අද දේශනයේට ඔයාලගේ යාළුවන්ට සම්බන්ධ වෙන්න බැරි වුණා නම් එහෙම නැත්නම් කලින් දේශන වලට නරඹන්න බැරි වුණා නම් ඔයාලට පුළුවන් වෙනපොර YouTube channel එකෙන් ඒ දේශන සියල්ලක්ම නරඹන්න ආරාධනා කරනවා. channel එක subscribe කරන්න, bell icon එක click කරලා තියාගන්න. මානල් මැඩම් බොහොමත්ම ස්තුතියි. අපි එහෙනම් තවත් දවසක තවත් දේශනයකින් හමු වෙමු. ආයිබෝවන්.
වාණිජ විද්‍යා, ගණිත, කලා, තාක්ෂණ වේදය, විෂය ධාරාවන් වල සියලුම විෂයන් සඳහා විශ්වවිද්‍යාල කතිකාචාර්යවරුන් සහ රජයේ පාසල්වල ප්‍රවීණ ආචාර්ය මණ්ඩලය විසින් මෙහෙයවනු ලබන දේශන නැනපවුර YouTube channel ඔස්සේ නැරඹිය හැක. ඉදිරි දේශන දැනගැනීම සඳහා නැනපවුර YouTube channel subscribe කරන්න. දැයි දූ දරුවන්ගේ අනාගත ජයග්‍රහණයට